Hi, Galasbar here. I'm taking a look at another set of third-party bits that I think might be useful for Necromunda and Warhammer 40,000 conversions. And this week it's the turn of the Regiments range by Anvil Industry. This is a range of resin parts to build infantry, somewhat in the style of Games Workshop's Imperial Guard. It's an enormous range and it has many different combinations of parts that can be built. In this case, I've bought a set of parts from another hobbyist, and like many of us, he started a project but didn't quite finish it, so he had these parts available and ready to use for me. So these are not necessarily a set of parts that I would have chosen to go together, but it does mean I can get a look at quite a wide cross section of the range here, and hopefully build some interesting conversions. So let's start with the Tortoise here. We've got two sets of 6, both sets identical, and these are fitted with quite elaborate cuirass designs. So we have in each set of 6, we've got 4 of these ordinary cuirass designs and a couple of special ones like this fitted with an eagle crest. You can see how well that fits with an Imperial Guard aesthetic. And there's also one of the 6 with a sash across the body. So that gives you a little bit of variety to the squad. I believe you would buy those in sets of 6, so we've got 2 sets here. And these have been matched with some legs, which are the Anvil's short greatcoat range. So you can see we've got sort of armoured panels around the boots, around the greaves, and a relatively short greatcoat setup. We've got 2 sets of 5 legs here, I believe, and 1 additional pair of kneeling legs. So we've got quite a wide variety of parts here. As you can see, these are built on the tab design, so they're designed to take a slaughter base. For Necromunda conversions, I tend to use scenic bases, textured bases, so I will probably end up removing the tabs from the part I use and pinning the models on. But you can see these are highly detailed. There's very little flashing on there. They've also got a little nub at the top of each set of legs, which is designed to fit into a slot on the bottom of each of the torsos. So if you were going to be using a different design of torso, say for example here is a Games Workshop Cadian torso, you would want to shave that nub away. That shouldn't be too hard to do at all. I'll move on to the heads. We've got 2 different designs of head that, again, these were selected by the hobbyist who bought this kit. First, we've got a set of 6 in shakos, so sort of a Napoleonic style. Not necessarily something that I would have chosen myself, but as you can see, they're detailed, the faces are characterful, and they're all a little bit different as well. The shakos themselves have got some differences in detail on, so I could definitely see that working on the right unit. And we also have 2 sets of 7 of these Saleh helms. Now this is something I could see working quite well for enforcers or similar units. And you can see again that there's some slight differences between the designs. So you've got some variety in there, and you've got this rather nice one with the visor flipped up and shades below, which gives it a more futuristic look maybe. They strike me as being quite similar to Sisters of Battle helmets, although I would say a bit bigger than that. So perhaps if you wanted to run something alongside Sisters of Battle in Warhammer 40,000, that would be your go-to. We've also got 2 different designs of arms that come with this set. And if I can take a look at some of those now. There we go. We've got some armoured arms here. So again, very highly detailed, quite generic. They're not covered in symbols. Interestingly, we have some separate hands here, and we don't have arms without hands. So it looks like the idea is to cut away the hands that you don't need, and then perhaps pin on these fists holding daggers. And I think we've got 2 sets of those armoured arms, and I believe we have a different design here as well. Yes, we've got some unarmoured ones here. So you can see they're much more simple. There is a bit of flashing on this sprue, but not too bad. Could be very easily trimmed away. Again, it's an extremely good cast. And you can see that the arms are paired up here, so it will be very easy to match left arm with right. And some interesting poses there. It looks like you've got one with the hand over the body of the weapon, so that could give an interesting look. It's a bit different. What you might notice as well is that there are some small notches on the hands. That's a good example in the middle there, which similar to the notches on the legs, or the slots rather on the torso, allows you to very quickly match up the parts with the weapons, which I'll move on to next. And we've got 2 sets of weapons again. These are the same design, but each set. These are, I think, phase rifles, as they're referred to. As you can see, they're clearly aided, modelled after Games Workshop's lasguns. So you could definitely very easily use those in game as lasguns. And you can see how they've got a notch coming out of where the hand grip would be, so they can be very quickly and easily attached to those arms. So I could see that being very very easy to assemble. Yes, 2 sets of those, with each with 5 weapons ready to put into the hands, and 1 bare weapon, if you like, with the stock still attached, more useful for using as an accessory. And talking of accessories, we have some shoulder pads here. 2 different designs. These ones are quite elaborate. Eagle shoulder pads. Again, something that would work rather nicely for enforcers or similar units. Very finely detailed there. And what we've also got is a set of planar shoulder pads. although again they do have some detail onto them, which is nice. You could definitely see those working in a 40k setting. And with both of those you've got 6 pairs of shoulder pads. My understanding is that the Regiments sets are sold as packs that make 5 models, so in a lot of these sprues you're getting at least 1 extra part, which can be very handy. What we've also got here is a set of epaulettes, which are quite nice to see. You might have seen from my previous video that I've built some of the Mordian style troopers from Victoria Lamb. Mine are older, and so those are metal casts, and getting the epaulettes to fit could be a nightmare. These resin ones will be very practical if I return to that project, which I'm sure I will, and that allows me to use some different arms and still have them blend in. Again, not sure if this is something that I use on the project I'm going to build this week, but you can see they're detailed, some flashing again, but very easily trimmed, and some quite fine detail on there. So those are all the parts I've received, and as you can see there's a vast amount here. Enough parts, I would say, to build 11 complete models. What I plan to do is, much like with the broken infantry we've seen, I'm going to go ahead and build some models for Necromunda. My plan here is to build an Imperial Guard officer who's been disgraced and has fled to the Underhive with his loyal retainers. Using a paint scheme for the Necromundan regiments of Imperial Guard, and converting them with my own spin. One thing I have noticed is that with these torsos, they have quite deep collars. Now that does mean that some parts will fit better than others, and this is something you might want to be aware of before you purchase the regiment sets. So if I was to use, for example, a Acadian head, you see that doesn't fit too well in there. Because there's very little in the way of neck on the back of that head. You'd really have to use a spacer in order to get a realistic pose on that. But what works rather well, I was finding, is the Scion's heads. Let's try one here. Apologies. Yes, you can see that fits a lot better and gives you a lot more range of motion for posing. I mean, of course, as I say, to use the other Cadian style heads, you could use a spacer and to build up, but you can see how the Scion heads just fit perfectly straight off. And what also worked rather nicely is the heads from the Maelstrom's Edge broken infantry that we looked at previously. Again, they have quite long necks to them, and they fit perfectly into these torsos. So it's nice to have a bit of interchangeability. Still have, of course, plenty of broken infantry parts. So there we go, that's one of those heads. If I can get it the right way around in front of the camera. There we go. So you can see again that's a very good fit. So that's something I can work with. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to make 3 to 5 models along that theme of Imperial Guard officer and his bodyguard fled to the Underhive, and I hope to join you soon and show you what I've come up with. Thank you very much.